Hey folks, welcome back to a new edition of Driving with Dan. Well, yesterday the rapture supposedly happened, or at least people were calling on it, saying it was going to be here. I don't know why the 23rd of September always seems to be called upon as a date the rapture is supposed to happen. But a couple things. One, it either happened and the remnant was so minute that nobody noticed they were gone, or two, it never happened. It won't happen because it's not biblical. Folks, if anybody who's read the Bible knows there's no word in the Bible that says rapture. There is a catching up, where we're going to be caught up with Jesus at the end. And if you read this and look at it, use context, it is right at the very end. At the very end, before the earth is destroyed, Jesus will pull his people from the earth. We will meet him in the air. And I say we because I'm praying that we all are elect. But we will meet him in the air, and he will destroy the earth. The earth will be destroyed. But it's only going to be destroyed so it can be rejuvenated and rebuilt. Most likely back into probably like the Garden of Eden. That seems to be the the consensus of what everybody believes will happen. The world will be rejuvenated to what it once was. And then, because the earth was created to be inhabited by God, well, God created to have man inhabit it, we will spend eternity on earth in heaven with Jesus, with the bodily, the fleshly form of God. That's what I'm trying to say. We will walk with Jesus, who is the flesh embodiment of God, forever on earth. Can you think of anything better? I know I can't. But those who are going to be caught up, the world's destroyed, it's rejuvenated, New Jerusalem, the new heaven on the new earth, and forever with Jesus in heaven, right here. It's not going to look anything like this, but we'll be right here on earth. Now, when Jesus returns, initially, he will send his angels out to catch up the reprobate. They will be pulled off the earth, but if you continue to read, they will be cast into the lake of fire. You don't want to be one to be raptured, because if that's the case, folks, you're not going to like the end result. But the rapture is not biblical in any which way or form. It's a made-up idea by a Jesuit who came up with this idea to throw people off from the true, real beast system known as the Catholic Church and the papacy. So once you really dive into the world of the Jesuits and the Catholic Church, the papacy, its true history, then you can easily see these things. There are some, maybe I'll find them and put them in the description. There's some really good books out there to read about the Jesuits, about what they've done, the plans they've orchestrated, and the way they do. Everybody thinks the Jews run the earth. No, not so much. It's made to look that way, but no, they don't. The Jesuits truly do. And the Jesuits are nothing more than the army, you want to call it, of the papacy, of the Catholic Church. In fact, their leader is called the Jesuit General. You're not a general unless you have an army below you, right? You need to look into the Black Pope, the Jesuit General. You think of the cartoon Spy vs. Spy, black versus white, right? In the cartoon is what I'm getting at. The popes, the Black Pope, the White Pope, black versus white, white hats, black hats. You putting it together yet? They're still all the same system, folks. But getting back to the point of this video, if somebody is stating a rapture, you need to walk away from that person. Right? Maybe not even walk away. Maybe just show them the truth of the Bible. Not biblical by any means. It is the lukewarm church that Jesus is going to spit out and destroy because it's lukewarm, when he says, I'd rather you be hot or cold, but not lukewarm. But today's church, the Laodicean church, is lukewarm. Will not be saved, will not be raptured. When you have the 7 church eras, you have the apostolic church, persecuted church, the compromised church, the apostate church, missionary church, so forth, so on and so forth. Folks, these were time frames in history. Apostolic church during the time of the apostles. Persecuted church right after that by people who were extremely diligent in following the ways of Jesus, because this was right after the time of Jesus, right after the time of the apostles. These were firm believers of the way. These people were fed to lions. They were crucified, beheaded, burnt on the street as street lights at night. And they stayed true to the end. They didn't deny Jesus. They didn't walk away from their belief. No, they stood true. They took whatever came their way all the way up to their deaths. This was the persecuted church. Now, of course, true believers have been persecuted throughout time and will continue to be all the way up to the return of Jesus. But they were highly, highly persecuted during this time frame. Highly. Is this the time of Nero? Antiochus Epiphanes? All these people, they tortured true believers. And none of these people were caught up to be with Jesus. They weren't raptured out of this persecution. So if this highly dedicated group of people, believers, were burnt and fed to lions and just tortured, I mean, the worst deaths you can think of, if they weren't saved by Jesus and they truly followed his ways, what makes you think a lukewarm church? Now mind you, the Bible says it, lukewarm. What makes you think the final church, which is lukewarm, would be raptured or saved by Jesus at the end? Saved of the persecution? Saved from the judgments? No. The Bible says we will witness these events. So the elect will witness God's wrath, but they will be protected. They will be divinely protected by God. They won't be affected. They won't get the sores. They won't be stung. They won't be tortured by the different things. Only the reprobate, God's elect, will be protected. They're not going to be pulled off the earth until it's ready to be destroyed and then renewed, and then we come back down to spend eternity with Jesus. So folks, if someone's preaching a rapture, show them the truth, point them to the truth, tell them about the 7 churches, the time frames in history. I'm gonna share a diagram in my next video. It won't be a driving one because I'll have to show this diagram or this printout, and it'll help explain a lot of this. But if you need some, just take a little jaunt into history from the cross all the way through the church history. And go look at the Catholic Church, and you can see these time frames. These are all time stamped in the Bible. That's what the 7 churches of Revelation, the 7 letters to the 7 churches, which were real churches. They really were. Smyrna, Thyatira, Laodicea, they were all real churches, but they're also time frames in history. Remember, Revelation is an extremely figurative, literal, figurative, visionary book. I mean, it's one that takes a lot of in-depth research to really understand. That's one reason why it was the last book added to the Bible. But understanding it and understanding Daniel will help you understand Revelation. So if someone's screaming rapture, you need to walk away from them. You really do. Okay. Got a cop pulling in front of me to pull a guy over. So I'm going to get over here. But anyway, better him than me. Please, people, know and realize that rapture is not a real thing. We will be caught up at the very, very end. Yes, we will. But we're not going to be pulled out of the persecution. That I guarantee you. I love you all. Please look into this truth. Know it, understand it, and know that if you are God's elect, you will be protected. God bless. Love y'all. Talk to you soon.